Christianity Today came out, I'm sure you heard this, on Thursday, endorsing the no spanking policy. That's a huge debate in itself. But give me, if you're an average parent and you've seen at school secular parents that are hands off about it, and now you see kind of a major Christian institution like Christianity Today saying that, what is your encouragement to them, or what would you say to them as they're debating this heavy-handed, no pun intended, issue? There's pun intended.
Well, I think, I think that in my mind is a simple issue. Am I going to be obedient to the Word of God and put my mind underneath the Word of God? Because I think the Word of God is clear about the issue. I think that it's a huge mistake for parents not to physically discipline children, especially little children. I like what Piper says. You know, Piper makes the point that one of the nice things about spanking is that it's over.
Yeah.
You do the discipline, it's over. You restore the kid, you leave the room. There's no hangover. You don't have to wait. You ask yourself later that, should we take him with us or not? You know, he was bad this morning. It's been dealt with, and you can put it behind you. You go on with life. It creates this very clean break with the rupture that happened because of the problem of defiance on the part of the child, and now it's been dealt with. It's been, you know, and you move on. So I think that's one beautiful benefit. But I think basically for me the compelling thing is God calls me to do it.
Right.
And I became persuaded this is what God calls me to do, and I need to obey God. I think the Christianity Today article was not heavily handed. Parents should never do this. It was more, we question the value kind of statement. And, you know, people say to me sometimes, what do you do with all the studies? I mean, there are studies that show that parents who spank their kids turn out to be more aggressive and so forth and so on. I always say to people, no one has ever done a study that I'm aware of on what I'm advocating. Because when you take something as broad as, do you hit your kids when they're bad?
Right.
That's a huge range.
There are positive and negative ends of that spectrum.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there could be a very gracious parent who's going through a process of discipline saying, okay, honey, daddy's going to have to spank you. Give him 2 appropriate swats and full of love and compassion. Or it could be an angry, out of control parent who's just smacking his kid because they're in the way. So, you know, if you're going to impress me with studies, impress me with a study that studies what I've been advocating, not just the general, you know, do your parents hit you?
Right.
Because that's just too broad a spectrum. So I think it's silly to try to do a study like that or give it any credence.
And again, that's a heart thing. It's like, what's your heart like? Because the examples they use in that article of beating a child to death, that's not a heart of correction. That's an angry, murderous heart.
It's an angry, out of control person who's doing something wicked.
Right.
I mean, I would stand up and condemn that.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm advocating. And I'm, you know, even very careful to say to parents, never discipline when you're angry and so forth. And, you know, it's interesting. In the years, I mean, I've been teaching this material systematically since 1996 in seminars like this. And I have never once had anyone come up to me afterwards and say, what you presented is abusive and ugly.
Yeah.
Never. They hear the nuance. And even people who would say, I don't agree with you, I think it's optional, I don't think God's word's calling me to do it, I disagree with your exegesis of those passages or any of those things, they never say what you're advocating is something that's abusive and ugly. So I think, you know, I would encourage parents, you need to do it. It's what God's calls you to do. Piper, in another video clip I saw of him, he was saying, you know, if I was someplace where it was legally forbidden, I would spank my children anyway, and I would be willing to suffer for doing what is good.
Wow.